Oh, I've got no sound.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Apparently you're supposed to press join audio.
there we go. Now I can hear you.
I can't hear anything. Okay, that's why. I was like, that's really odd. I've never had a Zoom like that before. I had to turn, I was going to go live, and then I had realised with the setup that I had this morning, I had the stand, and you would have seen my face with a big camera stand in front, so I had to jig things around. And now I've got a dog sitting right at my feet. I'm going to wheel over his legs in a minute. So I hope you all had a good afternoon. I went and sat in the hammock in the sun. That was nice. Chilled out. So now I apologise if you can hear really loud cars in the background. This time of night where I live, everyone thinks it's cool to use it as a drag strip.
Mm-hmm.
When I film videos, I have watched a couple back in the past, and I can hear the cars in the background. I'm like, oh, I would love some serenity. As soon as it hits getting to dusk, they all come out. Okie dokie. So I thought I'd have the camera facing me and my desk, but I'll switch it over to have the desk as I was going to put a new bit of grid paper, but I thought, oh well, there's only a little bit there. So I've recorded it so that I can upload this to YouTube after, in case you want to watch it back, or the people that can't make it live can watch the recording. So hopefully it says it's recording, so fingers crossed that will play nice for me, because I don't really feel like filming the whole thing again. So we will get started. So I've got all of the make and take packets, which should come like this with the numbers similar to the other ones. So we'll start as they're numbered. So we'll start with card 1. So we've got the whole stamp set. I was mounting the stamps to this set, so they're all mounted and ready. I'll just spotlight the video. I was mounting them all ready and realised the cards that we're making actually use every single stamp in this stamp set apart from the 2 from. So I thought that was a good achievement to use every single stamp. So this one is great for colouring, and that's what I went to town with these cards. So this is the first card that we'll make tonight, and then the second card is this one here, and then this is the third card. So they all use Stampin' Blends. If you don't have the particular coloured blend, you can substitute with what you do have, and that's totally fine. So for the first one, I'm just going to open up my packet. I've pulled in a couple others. What I might do is, how do I do that? I'll just, for the recording purposes, actually no, it should be fine. So I've got all my pieces. So this one just uses although I think you've all got the make and take packets anyway, but our basic white card base, and then 2 larger pieces of basic black and 2 smaller pieces of basic white. But all the measurements are in the PDF. And then we've got a scrap of basic white to stamp on, a scrap of basic black, and then there's 2 bits of the snowy white velvet sheet, and they're going to be for the front of the card. They're cut using the basic Borders dies, which I did pull out to show which ones I used in case you wanted to know. So these ones are using, and I made a card using another set recently, and my best friend's here, so I'm just going to quickly say hello. She's dropping and running to get something. I'll just quickly say hello and then I'm back in 2 seconds. You smell nice. Enjoy the puppy cuddles. So to get the little mountains, I've used this fun rolling, I don't know what you'd call it, this curved die here, and it makes really cool hills, and that's what I love using it for. These are also cool to make envelopes. So that's the one that I've used, and to achieve the hills that I've made on this one, I simply cut, because I've done them for you, I just want to explain how to do it. I actually cut them to the width of the card, so that's 9.7, and cut them at, I think it was 3 inches roughly, and then I've placed the border die on an angle, and the next one I actually just placed it on a different angle so that I would get 2 hills that were different, so that they would sit like that, because if you cut them on the same angle, you're just going to have hills that sit like that, whereas I actually wanted them to be at different angles. So that's how I did that bit, but I've pre-cut them out if you got the make and take packet. So what we'll need to do as the first step is start putting together the base, and then we'll colour our images in next. So I'm going to grab the scrap piece of the basic white. So there should be, make sure I'm not using the wrong piece. There should be 2 smaller pieces. Now I'm losing, yeah, sorry. 1 piece of the basic white. It's been a fiasco today. Can't keep up. Okay, so 1 of the smaller pieces of basic white, and then what I'm going to do to create this night background that I've done is take our blending brushes. So I have a blending brush for my dark blue and a blending brush for my light blue, and that's generally what I do with all my colours. So I'll have a blending brush for, say, light pinks, blending brush for dark pinks. So I've grabbed 2, and I'm going to use 3 different blues to my card. So I've got Coastal Cabana, and then Bermuda Bay. I'm just going to make sure that I'm telling you the right colours, because I'm looking at my card and I'd be horrified if I told you the right ones, wrong ones, I mean. So Coastal Cabana, Bermuda Bay, and then Misty Moonlight for my colours. So I'm going to start with the lightest first, Coastal Cabana, and sing out if you have any questions as we go along. So I'm just going to grab my blending brush, and I like to hold it in my thumb and my forefinger, and then go in a circular motion. And then I'm going to do my cardstock in thirds. So at the bottom, I'm just going to start adding my ink. So you won't see too much of the Coastal Cabana. It will sort of just peek out from the bottom. I probably really need to re-ink my Coastal Cabana. It's probably one of my most used colours. So just keep building up the colour. I love these blending brushes. They're so much fun to use. So I find it easiest if I just lightly build up the colour. Easier to, I think I said it in the first make and take, to keep adding more, but you can't take it off. So rightio. I can tell my ink pad needs re-inking. It's so light and my godson's just rocked up. I said, they don't live very close by, so I said, I'm actually going to be on a video, I'm sorry. Okay. So that should be enough of that colour. And I'm going to close up that ink pad and then move to my Bermuda Bay. Now, when I'm using between colours, I just lightly brush off my blending brush just to remove some of that colour. it doesn't matter too much, particularly when you're working from light to dark. Now I'm just going to start off the cardstock a little bit and move into my next colour. This one definitely doesn't need re-inking. It's quite a lot more inky. Just making sure when you have the new colour, you're blending into that previous colour so there's no white line. A little bit dark over there, so I'm just going to turn it around. So I'm starting with this end. I find that when I blend as well, if I leave it for a little bit, it sort of seeps into the cardstock and has a little bit more of a blended look the longer you leave it as well. I think that'll be enough, the Bermuda Bay. And then the last colour we're going to add is the Misty Moonlight. So this is perfect for things like night skies because that's really what the colour says. I'm just going to go and add that in my top third. And then blend that into the Bermuda Bay as well. You can keep adding and just until you're happy with how that colour's looking. I'm going to blend that line. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. Sorry, I'm going to have blue all over my fingers. I think I showed the cards earlier that I made with all the blues on the Christmas card. That was actually my friend that came to pick them up. I made them before, and I had blue hands all when I was doing those. So this one can go onto the layer of basic black now. So I'm just going to use a liquid glue to adhere that down. Like that. And then with the hill pieces that are die cut out of the snowy velvet, the larger piece I'm going to adhere with liquid glue, and the smaller piece is going to be adhered with some dimensionals. But what I'm doing first is just making sure they're going to fit nicely, because sometimes it can be a millimetre out depending on how good you are with a trimmer, and let's just say I cut hundreds of kits. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to add some liquid glue to that back heel, so the larger one, and I'm just going to tuck it in behind. Lucky. Out of the rubbish bin. Actually needs now. Out of the rubbish bin. Gone out. Just a touch too big. I say this as I apply the glue, so that's why I suggest just checking it. I'm going to take that and trim a tiny bit off. That's better. I'm just going to check that this one's out of the rubbish bin. This top heel can go to the card with some dimensionals. Actually, I'm just going to add probably about 5 dimensionals or 6, depending on how much you like your dimensionals. I'm just going to pop that one up just in front of that bottom heel. Now that we've got all of that done, we've got our card base, we can actually stick this one to our card base. And I'm just sticking it flat to the card with liquid glue. Now I have, because it's a night sky, and I do it to every card, I'm adding some winter stellar. And we'll go back and add some sequins at the end. So what I'm going to do now is do the stamping. So I'm going to take the scrap piece of the basic white and stamp the images in some Memento black. So we have a little Santa and a tree. So these are the Santa that has his little arms in the air and the tree up here. So we want to stamp both of those ones. And because we're using blends, we want to use our Memento black ink so it doesn't react with the alcohol in the blend. Santa, and I'm just going to stamp the tree. Now we can get colouring. So what I'm going to do is take some different colours. You can colour your Santa with either Real Red or Poppy Parade. It doesn't matter too much which one you choose. It depends if you want a brighter red or a darker red. So I'm going to colour the little pants of my Santa in some Real Red. I find that my Real Red, I have to be so light with it because it's the one that will bleed. Don't know why, but because it's such a dark pigmented colour, I find that I've just got to be so gentle with using it. So I'm just applying my dark first, and then I'm going to blend out my colour with my light. And then I'm going to add my red to my little hat. I always start with my dark, but you don't have to. You can start with your light. It actually doesn't matter too much which one you start with. And there's the loud car for you. Now, I'm just going to do the little arms on the jacket with my dark colour. And blend that colour out. Like me. I love it too. Then my little Santa face, I'm going to do in light petal pink, which is my go-to colour for when I'm doing my skin tones. We do have an ivory, but I really like the slight pinkish tone of the light petal pink. So I'm just going to do the face in the light petal pink and just inside his little mouth there. And just for something a bit cute, I'm going to add a little bit of pale papaya to his cheek, just to add a bit of blush tone to his cheek there. Forgot to do his little mittens, which I'm going to also do in some red as well. This is such a fun set to colour. The buckle on his little belt, I'm just going to pull our dark Daffodil Delight just to get a goldy tone to the belt. And then I'm going to pull in the dark basic black. And with that, I'm going to colour in. I'm not going to blend with the light. I'm just going to go just with the dark and colour in his boots. And then I'm going to do the same with the belt. So I'm just doing inside that buckle and the whole belt around his belly. Now, I don't think I've forgotten to colour anything. I'm just going to add some, don't think I did any to this one. I think it's on the next one. I added some Winter Stella just to the little pom-pom on his hat and a little bit to some pieces of his beard, just for a little bit of sparkle. I might just do his whole beard. Once you start, you just can't stop. Or I can't anyway. There we go. So for the tree, I'm just going to pull in, I've got some cinnamon cider. So I'm going to do the tree trunk in a little bit of cinnamon cider. Lose some of my darker tones, I just come back in and add them again. And for the actual tree itself, I'm going to use some old olive. I'm just going to add my dark in first. And I like to just go along where I think any shadows would be and just along the edges. with my dark. And I'll come back with my white and blend it all out. Can be quite fiddly at first because you've got to go around all the ornaments, but you get there in the end. Okay, I think I've almost coloured it all. There we go. That is the tree done. And then I have coloured in the little stars on the tree in some real red. Although in reality, I pushed it on my balls red and my stars yellow, but it's all okay. I'm just mixing it up. And then I've done the little balls on the tree in some Daffodil Delight. Like that. Okie dokie. So then the next step is just to fussy cut these images out because these ones don't have dies. So these do require some fussy cutting, which I know Tanya said she loves fussy cutting. So I know I've got one fussy cutting loving friend. These yay. They're not too bad. It's just about moving the paper, not the scissors. How many times have you heard people say that? I'm one to sit there and fussy cut out a whole pack of the designer series paper if it's got images that require fussy cutting. I love it. So I'm pretty sure the next Santa and the next cut needs fussy cutting too. But the third one, there's no fussy cutting. That was a nice email to get interrupted with. My order's shipped from Stamping Up. Too bad it's a pretty boring one. It's just catalogues. I can still get excited about a box of catalogues. If you guys have any questions while we're going through the card, I want to speak, just feel free to unmute yourselves, by the way. All right, so now I'm just fussy cutting out the tree. The tree is super easy to fussy cut. And that is all the fussy cutting done. So then once you have done that, we're just going to pop some adhesive onto the tree, and the tree actually gets stuck behind the first hill. So straight onto the hill that we've stuck flat to the card, we're going to add some adhesive to our tree and just stick it just behind that first hill there. So it looks like it's popping out from behind the hill. And then we can stick our little Santa on as well. And he's actually on dimensionals, but you have to do 2 heights of dimensionals just to be a pain, because his little feet need to go up in dimensionals, but that makes him higher. But because this is already on dimensionals, you'll need to do 2 heights of dimensionals on the first bit. So what I suggest is popping 1 dimensional on either side of his foot. And then up near his head, pop 2 dimensionals and take the backings off. And then stack another 2 dimensionals on top of those dimensionals. So you actually have a stack of dimensionals. So you'll see it's like a double stack. That way, when you stick the Santa on, it will have that height to support his head, because this first bit's already dimensional, so he'll need that double height to help stick him up. Loki had his head in the bin with the bingo numbers, so let's hope he hasn't pinched any. Okie doke, so I've got a scrap of basic black, and then next we're going to do a little sentiment. So if I bring the original in, we just need to stamp a little Merry Hello. So I'm just going to do that onto a scrap of basic black, and it is heat embossed. So I'm going to take some Versamark ink and ink up a Merry Hello. And I've no idea if I'm stamping that straight, but we'll wing it. And this one is heat embossed in white. Look at that. Isn't that a good go at heat emboss? Oh no, it's come off. It's all good. Thought I had a big finger splodge in it. Okay, so I'll heat up my heat gun. I'm just going to melt that embossing powder. And I'm going to bring in my little guillotine. I love this thing. I wish you could actually still purchase them at Stampin' Up. I know it was a joining offer way back when, but I use mine all the time. but I'm just going to trim down my sentiment a little bit to make it a thin strip. Or you could keep it a thicker strip. This bit's completely optional. Why did I press my computer? Okay. And then I'm just going to cut with my scissors each end of my sentiment on a bit of an angle. So I'm left with that piece. I'm pretty sure I've stuck this over my center and popped one end up on dimensionals. But once again, it does need to be a little double stack of dimensionals on the end. So the end that has the hello just needs to be a double stack of dimensionals. So pop them too high, and then just some liquid adhesive on the other end, because that will sit on top of your center. So just place it on top like so. Now, this is going to be the fiddly bit, getting all these little sequins out of this little baggie. So, because I reckon, I haven't done it yet, but I reckon they're going to be staticky. I don't think that's a word, but some out. Love these sequins. I've almost successfully used a whole tub of them, and I don't think I ever go through a pack of sequins. Okay, so when I add sequins to a card, I find it easier to go in first and just add little dabs of glue where I think I might like them. So I'm going to add some over my night sky. So I've just added a few dabs of glue, and I actually find it easier when I'm adding sequins because I want the glue to grab them. So I've added my tiny dabs of glue and I've got my sequins ready, but I'm actually going to let that glue sit there for a second and become tacky, because it will help grab that sequin a lot better. So what I'm going to do while that gets tacky is pull in my other bit of basic white for the center, and I'm going to stamp a little bit for the center while I wait for that glue. So I've got the little birdie image from the stamp set for the center, and I'm just going to stamp that in the bottom right corner, like so, and then stamp a little Be Jolly sentiment as well into that corner for my card center. And then for the little birdie's hat, I'm just going to lightly colour a little bit of real red. And then for the little birdie's beak, I think I just added a touch of pumpkin pie. And then I brought back in my Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends, just to add some colour to my bird. And just because I can, I might add a little bit of sparkle. Now I can add this layout to a layer of the basic black, ready to go to the inside of my card. My glue is a bit clogged. That's all good to go. So before I adhere that to the inside, I'm actually going to take my Take Your Pick tool, which I find super handy, and I've got the putty end, and I'm just going to grab some sequins, and hopefully these have had enough time just to go a little bit more tacky than it normally would, and it's just grabbed that sequin a lot better. Otherwise you find that they just don't want to stick to the card, and I find it super annoying sometimes. It's like battling. See, that just wants to stay there because that glue's a lot more tacky. So you only have to give it a couple minutes and it will just be a lot easier to work with. So I'm just picking up a few different sequins. Yeah. Let's stick this on. Oh, I feel like I need more sequin. And the whole background will be covered in them. See, that's not when I haven't wanted to stick to my finger. I feel like I've popped a sequin in the wrong, now the sequin's coming off. Needs to do one right here. You can add as many or as little as you like. On the original card, I only added a couple. So I'll move those sequins off my desk and then can add some adhesive to the layer that we did for the inside and stick that one to the inside of the card. And that's the first card done. So it's more so the blending of the background and colouring those images, but it's super fun. And I love the snowy white velvet with the texture. It's a lot of, I'm actually glad because they're keeping it. So that paper's not retiring, yay. So did anyone have any questions? Yay, nay? Did you like the card? Hope so. Sorry, I can keep going, or do you want me to give you a few minutes?
Can I have a few minutes? I'm still, still finishing.
That's all good.
Sorry.
I don't want to rush, and I'll put some blends away. Give me a reason to put my blends away. That's the only thing that I hate about doing videos when you've got a million blends on your desk. It freaks out my obsessive tendencies. Were you crafting along, Tanya? You're going to catch up later.
Yeah, no, I did most of it except the colouring.
Oh yeah.
I got a bit behind, so I thought I'll do everything else and I can colour later.
No, that's all good.
I cut them out though.
Oh look, you love the fussy cutting. You jumped to the fussy cutting.
I did.
You can stamp the other Santa if you want. Get for the next one if you want to get ahead. That's just the opposite Santa to what this one was. I'm just trying to, I'm here putting away blends, and then I thought, no, don't put all your blends away because you actually are using them. I still need them. Funny because people that have crafted with me in person, I get in trouble because I actually put stuff away too much. Now, we haven't even finished using that. And they haven't even taken a stamp to block, and I've already put it away. Sometimes I hate it. So I've cut out a piece for the next card as well. But I won't say that because poor Jackie is still trying to finish her card. You're like, rush. Okay. I will clean my stamps. I actually had every stamp mounted apart from that 4 2 from the pack I knew I'd used every single one. But clearly I don't make gift tags. I've had an idea all afternoon of making a card with painted Christmas. And I thought, I've made so many cards with it, and now I have an idea on how to use it. I really don't have time, but maybe I'll do it and just randomly do a live video in the street group and hope it doesn't turn out as a massive fail.
Oh, I still haven't even done the sentiment for this.
That's all right.
It's all right. The sentiment can happen later. I knew there was something I was forgetting.
I think I've honestly got about 200 Christmas cards made.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the pile over there thinking, I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. We don't have it. We don't actually have a super large family that, yeah, we don't have a big family. So I don't have a huge Christmas card list as far as family. But I just had so many tutorials and classes and things. I actually ended up with so many made. I think about it, and every time I do a tutorial or a class, I'm making 2 of the same card.
Yep. Karen's ended up with all my extras. Which is, I can't, because I sort of make one and then I drop it off and go, there you go, take photos of it, make a video tutorial from it. And so she does that. So she ends up with my copy, the video tutorial copy, and the 2 class copies. And I'm just like, oh.
What did she do with them all?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Must have in that.
Yeah, I have heaps. I make a lot of thank you cards though. Thank you's my go-to. If I can choose sentiment, it's always thank you. Or friendship. Thank you and friendship are my number ones.
I need to start sending cards.
Yeah.
I make them. I have boxes full of them. I need to send them. And I sit there and, you know, I've got a list of everyone's birthdays and like, you know, then I look and I go, oh, probably should have sent that 3 weeks ago. I just need to start sending them. Like, I'm going to start in the new year. Start sending a card every week at least one.
Do you know, I think they're all Stampin' Up! Demonstrators on here, so I can do it. But this suite has me in love. This is my favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just love it. I think the stamp set with this leaf here, mind you, favourite bundle would have to be, I was laughing when I saw this. This has a story. Octopus. I don't know if I said in the group, when I was on the artisan design team, I got sent a box, and quite often on artisan team, I don't know if they still do it to the poor people, but you get sent a box and get told to create with it, and they might send you the stamp set that dies or dies without the stamp set, and it's before the catalogue's released, so you don't even know what belongs to what, and they'll send you papers that match with a completely different suite and tell you to create something and bring it all together. And I got sent the octopus that belonged to that stamp set we had a couple of catalogues ago, and I hated that octopus. And I got sent that with Rooted in Nature. And like I had to put an octopus with Rooted in Nature. So an octopus with trees. And I was like, and it was, I can't remember what paper it was with. I'll just never forget it. And Jodie was laughing her head off when she opened the box. And I got sent Rooted in Nature without the dies that belonged to it. I didn't know dies existed for the bundle. And I stamped out, I reckon, about 100 trees and fussy cut all of them. We got to on stage and they released the catalogue and they said, and here's the dies. And I was like, you're joking. You made me fussy cut all of that, and there's dies and this octopus. And I think I still have the cards I made with that octopus. So when this catalogue was released, Jodie and I went to this page and we just cracked up laughing because it reminds me of that octopus. And I actually like the bundle though because it's really cute. But anyway, that's what that bundle reminds me of. I just love this one. This bundle, there's something about it with those birds.
Yeah.
But it's not available. Oh,
I like the silhouettes one. And I love that one that everyone got sent out for
silhouette.
Was it In the Moment?
This
I've
one.
got that. Coming.
This
Yeah,
one.
the silhouette one. I like that. I was really happy to get that.
The thank you dies are really cool.
Mm.
You know what's cool? Seeing Eden's garden without the evening evergreen and the soft succulent sand, it doesn't make you think of what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
But I actually love this one too, with that little that silhouette thing. It's so cool. But yeah, I was sort of dummy placing an order last night and it came to like $1,000. I was like, I think I need to dial it down a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we going?
I'm going to leave the sentiment for later so that we're not holding everyone up all night.
It's all good. Okie dokie. So the second card is this one, and this is where we're bringing in the painted Christmas to the Be Jolly. So there is a piece of paper, which the size was on the PDF, and I thought I could be smart and do it with my head, but it's 13 by 8.6 centimetres. I've chosen a red. There's a couple of different red designs in there, but you could choose whatever pattern you like. I just thought a red was cute with Santa. And then, so that's the one I have gone and cut out. Now, okay, so we've got a crumb cake card base, a scrap of basic black for our sentiment, and then another scrap of basic white for our stamping, and then the piece of crumb cake, which will be what our little piece of designer paper maps on. And then there's 2 larger pieces of crumb cake and a piece of basic white. So all these measurements are in the PDF. So to get started, we'll start piecing the card together. So we're just going to take one of our larger pieces of crumb cake. And all we're going to do with that is stick it straight to our card base. So I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and stick it straight to the card base. Like so. And then with the piece, with the designer series paper, all we're going to do with that is take a bone folder. And this is one of my favourite things to do. And if you're on my team and have done my make and takes, you've probably seen me do this a lot lately. I'm just going to do this in the top left-hand corner. I just flip it to have it closest to me. And I get a bone folder and just run this backwards and forwards a couple of times. You just have to be careful how hard you're doing this because I have done a live video where I've literally ripped the whole corner off. This is rather embarrassing. So when you do this, it just breaks the fibres up a little bit. And then you can roll it and just make it look a little bit distressed. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the cardstock for the crumb cake piece. And once they're both done, all I'm going to do is add adhesive to the paper. And then stick them together. And then you can put up a little bit if you want, fold them over. I call it dog earring. Like so. Aren't you happy with it? I'll stop rushing. The video's still going.
Mhm.
You with it? So then I've taken the roll of linen thread and sort of just below the middle, I have wrapped it around 3 times, leaving a tail. So I use my thumb to hold it, and then I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. And then tie a bow on the left-hand side. Linen thread is one of my favourite things. That's why you've got a whole roll. Otherwise I would have been cutting it in every bag. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to trim the ends. I've tied a pretty big bow. And then I'm going to stick this whole piece to my card with some Stampin' Dimensionals. I feel like if Karen was here, she'd be telling me to add more dimensionals.
Oh, definitely.
She wouldn't have been happy that I stuck the first one straight to the card without them.
It's not a Karen card without dimensionals. Be adding them everywhere.
So that's stuck straight to the card. So once you've done that, you can stamp your Santa, which we're going to use the opposite Santa to what we used on the first card. So this one's with his hands down, not up in the air. And then I'm also going to stamp 3 of the little tiny stars. And then I'm just going to start colouring. So I'm going to just do the same thing and colour his skin in the light petal pink. And the ears. And then I'll just add some pale papaya. Oh, add some pale papaya to his cheeks. I'm going to add some dark daffodil delight to the buckle again. And then I'm going to add the basic black to the belt. And to his boots. And this time I'm also going to colour his gloves in black as well. Now I'm going to colour his trousers, his jacket and his hat in red. did to add a little bit of something different to this one was I added the tiniest little bit of pale papaya just to add a little bit of colour to, it sounds stupid, but I actually got inspired to do this with Louise Sharp, and she is like a colouring expert, but just to the touches of his cuffs, and not Louise Sharp, I've just said it's completely wrong name, she's not even a demo anymore, Michelle Block. Louise Sharp and Michelle Block have very similar styles. Wish Louise Sharp was still a demo. So I added a tiny bit of pale papaya just to the edges of where I'm keeping them white. So the trim of his hat, the little ball, and then once I've added the light pale papaya, I'm using my colour lifter just to blend it out. And it sort of just adds a little bit of colour and doesn't make it look so flat. So it's an interesting way just to, I don't know if you can sort of see, it's really bad lighting at the moment, but might show up better on the finished one. You can see on the edges, sort of, it's probably easier in daylight, but it just adds a little bit of colour just to those edges. And then the other thing you can do is take a light smoky slate marker and just so that you can see on his beard that there's some markings, you can go and add a little bit of smoky slate there. And then I like to grab the colour lifter and just blend it out to make it look like it's blending in.
Kayla, where did you put the pale papaya?
So I've put it just on the edges here around the hat.
Yep.
Just around the edge of the little ball, and just on the very tips of the cuffs, and just on the tips of his jacket.
Yep. Thank you.
No problems. And the smoky slate, I'm just adding where you can see there's, what do you call it, ruffles in his beard. I don't know if you call them ruffles. And then with the stars, I'm just going to colour those in some Daffodil Delight. Oh, I can smell there's the alcohol from watermelons. Didn't need a Guinness. I'm just going to add a bit of glitter to his beard again. I don't think I did on my original, but I'm going to. Maybe to his little eyebrows. I think I also added Wink of Stella to the stars. So while I'm on a colouring roll, I'm just going to take the piece of basic white that I've got there for the inside and the star image that we have coloured as well. And I'm just going to stamp some stars on my inside of my card on the top left and bottom right. And then I'm going to stamp the stamp that I've already put away. This is what I told you I do. Put stuff away before I'm finished. Just stamped a Merry Hello inside the card. And those ones are coloured with Daffodil Delight that blends on the inside as well. My Daffodil Delight blend has almost dried up. Does everyone usually decorate the insides of their cards?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Do you do your
I
envelopes?
always
Sorry.
do.
You always do? Good.
Yep. And
Do-
envelopes.
And good. There's no such thing as a naked envelope.
And I layer the insides as well.
I love it. I love
Mm.
layering. It was funny. I taught a class last weekend, and the ladies there had some of them had never seen the idea of layering on the inside. And I said, I actually really like it. To me, it makes the card feel more sturdy. I don't know.
Mm.
I'm a bit weird. I just like using cardstock and then cry when it's out of stock.
I've started doing it a lot more lately, but I don't do it so much for the cards that I design for the classes. It kind of depends on whether we're doing a simple card or a complex card.
Yeah.
The more complex cards obviously have interiors, but
yeah. It depends on your costing as well. It gets really expensive.
Yeah.
So you can layer, once you have stamped and coloured the basic white inside, you can just layer that on the piece of crumb cake. How's everyone's colouring going?
get to Winker Stella.
Got a Winker Stella.
I'll put a bit of Winker Stella on there.
I have to stop at the beard. I wanted to do the whole thing. I could have done his cuff and his little anything that was white on there. I was going to Winker Stella. I was like, no, stop it.
What do we wink as Stella?
So I just did his beard and the stars. So I might start fussy cutting my little dude out and fussy cut the little stars. This has been a popular little stamp set, actually. I've seen it floating around a lot. Hopefully we'll see the same love towards the otter stamp set. Lots of ideas.
Well, there's enough of us with it now.
It's got the same cutesy appeal. Like, this is a cutesy stamp set, and the otter's a little bit like cutesy. Well, Tanya's going to have an otter, so she'll be able to provide us with examples.
Actually, I wasn't going to get the Be Jolly stamp set until you did this extra bonus class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just didn't like the cards that I seen with it. And then I seen yours and I thought, damn, I'm going to have that.
Sorry, not sorry.
I tend to get all the additional stuff tacked on to workshops and classes and things because you're going to get shown something to do with it. It's not going to just sit there and, you know, because I end up buying things going, oh, that'd be great. And then getting it and going, I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
Yeah.
When someone's shown me what to do with it, I'm like, ooh.
I like to have a good mix of like bundles that involve a lot of die cutting and like two-step stamping, and then ones are like this that just you can sit down and just color with no dies involved. So because they're sort of for two different types of crafting, I think. Like sometimes I want to do all the die cutting and all that intense stuff. Sometimes I just want to sit there and color. And you could make cards with this set where you just stamp, add a sentiment and colour in. You don't have to get out a die cutting machine. I don't think none of these cards use a die cutting machine. So it can be a great beginner set as well because you don't necessarily need tools. Although some people hate colouring, so it depends on what you like as well. Like I know I go to hospital this Thursday for a month and I'm taking all my blends, and I was telling Kylie, actually, we were on a call the other day and I said, I'm packing all my blends and I'm going to pick a couple of stamp sets that need colouring and I'm just going to go to town because I'm not taking, if you have to do crafting where it involves planning out projects and then you've got to take this ink pad and this machine and this, I'm just going to take my blends and colour. So I think her and Bruno are going away as well, and she says she's going, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm always I went on a retreat about a month ago, and it was an arts and crafts mental wellness retreat thing. And it was like, oh, feel free to bring along any crafting supplies. Like, we'll supply stuff, you know, for you to do projects, but feel free to bring along anything you want. So I did. I took my gaming bag, which holds 12 board games. Yeah. And it was just full of crafting supplies. Yeah. And I didn't even use half of it. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I brought all this stuff. And then I just sort of sat there and went, oh, and then there's things that I really need. You know, if I'm going to do that project, I really need this other thing that I haven't bought. Yeah. But we learned how to make junk journals.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah. That was great fun because I could get every little bit of stamping and ribbon and everything that was retired. I was just like, oh, I know what I'm doing with all of this now.
Yeah. In your junk journal.
In my junk journal. Yeah. Like all the cut off ends, not the good stuff.
Yeah. So I've done my fussy cutting and my colouring. Gosh, it's like, oh, it's Saturday night. I'm thinking, I can hear all these kids playing in the street, and I'm like, it shouldn't be their bedtime, but I suppose it is Saturday night. So I'm just going to take my scrap of basic black and I'll start prepping my sentiment, but don't feel like you have to rush. Where is... I'm just doing the same thing as the first card where I heat emboss it white on the black cardstock, and I'm just using the Be Jolly sentiment for this one, so the opposite of the other one. I'm still kid free. My son rang earlier, wanted to know where his Elf on the Shelf is. Oh, gosh, I hate that. I don't know why we ever started Elf on the Shelf. So annoying.
Elf on the Shelf was not a thing when my daughter was a child.
Oh,
There was no elf on the shelf.
yeah, well, we didn't have such things.
I'm so glad. I mean, on the one hand, it looks like, it could be fun, like if you've got time to throw into it and be creative and everything with it. But on the other hand,
Yeah, I'm the parent. I'm just being weird. Tanya, do you eat elf on the shelf?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I'm being weird. What
We
I said.
did yeah.
I'm the parent that remembers like about 2 minutes before bedtime or when I've laid in bed, and that's what's irritating.
the tooth fairy used to forget to come a lot at my house.
Oh yeah, I've been that.
Yeah.
And then you got to write the apology letter from the tooth fairy and say they're really busy. I've been there, done all. My horrible mum moment was when I fell down our stairs at home outside taking the dog to the toilet. Like it was years ago, and I had to take some strong painkillers because I really hurt my back. And I remember waking up to my brother-in-law's headlights in the front driveway, blaring in the window because I was in the and it was like dusk. I was like, why is this headlights on? And then I've gone, oh, it's night time. Where's my son? I've forgotten to pick my son up. And I actually forgot to pick up my kid from daycare. And they called every emergency contact down to my brother-in-law, who's a farmer. Like it was like the last. And I felt so terrible. I've never forgotten it. But I'm sure like it's not unheard of, but I was horrified.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's when it's day after day after day, when you're never there, that they start to go,
Yeah, it's wonderful. And he doesn't, Elijah doesn't remember it. He was too young. But yeah, I was like, oh, how embarrassing. I was apologetic, but they was really horrible to me about it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I said I actually like hurt myself. I really didn't mean to. It was like hours and hours before I had to pick him up. I had to take some painkillers, otherwise I wouldn't be able to walk. And yeah, she was really mean to me about it. Oh well, parent shame, I'm sure. Okie dokie. So I've got all my pieces prepped. How are you going?
I'm about to start prepping the sentiment, but I can skip that if we're gonna and do all the sentiments later.
How are you going, Tanya? You got your heat gun out? You're doing a sentiment? Yeah. I'm just going to, I didn't cut this one on an angle, I just cut it straight. It's about like being a bit of a square. Sometimes I have to break out of my routines and habits with cards because I do everything so much the same. Like the white embossing on black is a bit, I can't get out of it. Mind you, I'll give you a sneak peek. I shouldn't, but I will. It's not like we're live on general Facebook. I actually did 2 cards for tutorials and I was so proud of myself. I didn't do black on white for either of them, and that's so weird for me. So I had to do the new, what's it called? Blessings of Home. And I did it white on cinnamon cider, which was so weird for me. And I did
beautiful.
This is something I don't do. I did the card front as a whole, like this, you can't see the cinnamon cider behind at all. I did the whole thing as the paper.
What is it?
And then the other card, where is it? Must be behind here. I actually did polished pink on white.
Oh wow.
So I didn't do it again. So I was like, I actually did sentiments that weren't the same. Mind you, they're the same sentiment. But yeah, I tend to find with the tutorial bundles I do, they always pick the same thing every month. So they're heart and home. Like I'm going to have 1 million cards done with heart and home. I'll be sick of it by the time I'm done. Okay. So I'm going to stick my Santa up on my card with some dimensionals. Yes, I've got to film those cards. I've been doing a retreat today and prepping those cards at the same time. I think tomorrow night I'm going to take myself out for a gin. Okie doke. So I'm going to stick the Santa right over the top of the linen thread. And then the 3 little stars that I've cut out, I'm going to put in a triangle sort of around my Santa like that. So I'm just going to stick those down with some liquid glue. It's getting a little bit dark. I hope you can see okay. Oh, my glue clogs up so quickly. And then it will all come out at once. Don't. Okay, it's all right. Disaster averted. And then we've got our 3, which I just picked them up with my finger because I've got no nails, but the 3 matte black dots, which actually we won't stick those yet. I just realised that we need to stick our sentiment first. Oh, it won't get off my finger now. It's going to stay there for a minute. I'm going to stick my sentiment with some Stampin' Dimensionals on one side and then liquid glue on the other. So I've just added a Stampin' Dimensional behind the B, and then I'm going to add some liquid adhesive there because I'm going to stick it right over the top of my centre. And then I can get rid of this matte black dot on my finger. I'm going to stick it to my card and then grab the other 2 smaller matte dots and stick those down here as well. And I'm going to spritz the card. See? Actually, I can add some Ink of Stella to my stars on the inside. So why not? And then I will stick this to the inside of my card. There we go. So that's the inside done and the card finished. So pretty easy. It's a bit of a different layer for me. So normally I do my standard layers. This one was a little bit of a different layer for me. So that was a bit fun to do. So a lot of fun and a great way to use up some designer paper as well, because I used to be a paper hoarder. Now I'm not so much. I just shop it. Oh, look, Tanya's showing hers. Good job. You got it finished. Well done. Love it. But I will clean my stamps. And I think I need a million blend colours out for the next one. Right, I'm going to keep that stamp out. We're going to use the little sled for the next one. I think that's what you call it, a little sled. Oh, and we need the tree out. Oh, I'm missing you. You finished? Woo! Good job. Obviously, I wasn't Speedy Gonzalez. I wasn't rushing as much with this one. You guys were able to keep up.
I can't believe it. It's the first one I've ever been able to keep up with.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. I was like, don't rush, Kayla. Don't rush. You're not on a time limit. That's what's good about the nighttime one is I don't have something else to get to during the day, so it's good. The lighting's just crappy. I need to actually follow the link that Tatiana gave me for the lighting. Although I looked at it, they're really cool, but they're massive. Have you been in her room and seen them?
No.
Oh, I know what they are because my sister's a photographer and they are big, but I could fit them in here, but it would be worth it for the lighting. So that's.
I'll be back in just a sec.
Yeah, sure. I'll wait for you.
I love the cards.
Sorry?
I love your cards.
Oh, thank you. I love sharing them. It makes it all worthwhile. I was saying to Kylie the other day, I said I actually had my resignation typed up for Stampin' Up 6 months ago.
Oh,
I know.
glad you
I know. I said, I can't believe I typed that up. I was in a negative spot. And I said, I'm glad I didn't, because I said, I would do this not as a business, just to share the cards. And I said, that's where my love is, just sharing what I do. Not about making money at all. It's actually just this. That's my favourite part of it, always has been. And that's why I love doing artisan and stuff, because it was all about just sharing the creativity side of it. Always has been my major passion. And that's why I started. And I think sometimes I forget that.
Did I miss where we put the little...
Oh, just there.
So I haven't quite finished yet.
I'm sure that'll only take you a tick.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So I'll open up card number 3. And this one did have a piece of designer series paper to cut, which is just cut at 3 centimeters by 14.1. So it's just to go along the bottom. And I chose this piece, and that's the piece that you'll see on the original card, which is the one that I painstakingly fussy cut on the card today to make and take. Is the opposite side to that. And then there's just some champagne rhinestones and a scrap of cinnamon cider, which I'm loving on this card. I love cinnamon cider. It's one of my favourite colours. And a small piece of the crumb cake. And then a card base in crumb cake, but this one's the opposite fold. So it's not, what do they call it? A hot dog, it's a hamburger. I don't know, I can never understand that terminology, but this one's this way. So it's half the A4 this way, cut at 14.9 and scored at 10.5. Yeah. I don't do many cards this way, so when I have to say that, it's like rewiring my brain. Then I've got 2 larger pieces of cinnamon cider and 2 smaller pieces of basic white thick. And I'm using the thick because I'm going to be doing the blends on this one. So I'm going to take one of my pieces of basic white, and what I'm going to do is mount up my sled stamp. But I don't want to stamp that here. I want to use my paper that I've cut as a bit of a guide as to where I'm going to stamp this. You probably could use a stamper artist, but I'm lazy. So what I found easiest just to do with this, so I knew where to stamp it, because basically I want the sled to be just above that paper, or just right on that paper. So I'm going to ink up my sled. And facing that paper there, I can see where I want the sled to go. So I'm going to stamp it to the left-hand side, and then I know when I have that paper there, it'll be sitting perfectly. And then just to the right-hand side of the sled, I just stamped a little birdie standing next to the sled. So that's the pieces that I want for the outside of the card. And while I'm at it, while I'm colouring, I may as well grab the second bit of basic white, because we're going to colour on that piece as well. So we're going to stamp up the tree again. So I'm just going to ink that one up in some white and stamp that to the right hand side. And you see, oh, there it is. And I've just stamped the Be Jolly sentiment just to the bottom there. That's all the memento like stamping done. So I can remove these pieces for now so we can do our colouring. So I'm going to take my cinnamon cider blends first, and with that I can colour my sled and the bottom of my tree. So that's what I'm going to colour with the cinnamon cider first. My partner's coming out. I should ask for coffee. Yeah. Coffee, please. In the sink. In the sink. Or on the draining board. Okie dokie. So that's all of the cinnamon cider. And then I think I changed it up and did my tree. Instead of old olive, I coloured it in Granny Apple Green this time. Got away from that old olive and went with my favourite, my old faithful. I think you guys will be super colouring by the end of tonight. Okie dokie, so there's my tree. Then I've used so many colours on this card. You can use whatever colours you like. You don't have to use the colours that I've used. In fact, I think I'm actually going to do this one slightly different and keep all the balls blue. I went with, you can see my original here. I've done a couple of different colours, but I'm just going to go with all blue. I think I've used Pale Papaya, Pool Party, and Daffodil Delight on the baubles on the tree in the original, but I'm just going to go for all Pool Party for the balls on that one, and I'm just going to bring some Daffodil Delight in. Queen Kayla. Thanks, King Adam. And then I've coloured in my stars for daffodil. That's the inside coloured and done. So then I'll continue with the daffodil and do my little birdie again. So I'm going to keep him the same as the other card and go with the daffodil. And I will do his little beak and a little bit of pumpkin pie again. And I might change up the red and do Poppy Parade instead of the red. And then for my little far left present, I think I'm going to do it with what I've done and do Daffodil Delight for the present. I'm just going to add in my dark. Blend that one out. And I added the little bow on top of the present in mint macaron. And my little prezi down the bottom, I'm going to do in pool party. And then a little tag on the present at the top. I'm just going to do in crumb cake. And I did make the little heart on the original in blue, but I think I'm going to go with red for this one. And then I've got some flirty flamingo for the stripy present. So I'm going to add one lot of my stripes in flirty flamingo. And then I will do Poppy Parade for the stripes in between.
No, it doesn't.
What's up, puss?
Need some attention.
Hmm?
Wanting some attention.
Oh yes, but not at the same time.
Oh,
They're new to the household.
oh, okay.
They've come together. They like each other a lot more than they like us.
Okay.
But they also like food, you see, and we are the providers of food, and there may be more food if they come and meow at me while I'm doing things, but it won't be because they've been fed today twice, and they have plenty of food.
Love me, but don't.
Yes, very much.
So I've done all my colouring, but I'll give you guys a moment. You guys still colouring?
I'm finished.
Wow. You still colouring?
I don't have to fussy cut, you see.
Oh, true. There's no
Fussy
fussy
cutting.
That's okay. You don't have to wait. I've only just got one little present left.
No, that's all right. I'm cleaning my stamps, so that's all good. I find cleaning stamps and putting them away therapeutic. Adam just bought me a cup of coffee to drink. That's it. Oh no, I mucked up my blender system. Oh, in the wrong order, which is not on. With our inside that we've just coloured, you can stick that to a piece of cinnamon cider if you want, because that will be going on the inside. And then you can stick that right into your card base, ready to go. Let us know when you're ready, Tanya, and I'll get going.
Okay, I'm finished. Yay.
And a distraction, I found that I shouldn't have bingo numbers in a Stampin' Up! Rubbish bin because there's now dimensional backings. And I've also decided actually the bin. Okie dokie. So now with this piece, we can stick down our piece of painted Christmas paper to the bottom. And once that's stuck, there's a really skinny piece of the crumb cake. It's literally, I think, 0.5 of a centimetre or 1/4 of an inch if you like inches. And I'm just sticking that right on top, over the top of that painted Christmas piece. So you don't cover up the sled, but it just goes over the top. then once you have done that, I'm going to add another linen thread bow. So I'm going to do it around where the crumb cake and the paper meet. So I'm just going to grab a length and wrap it around twice. And then tie a bow just there. So it just sits where those two meet there. I read somewhere that if you tie a bow upside down, it actually sits better. But I don't know if that's a thing.
Good, because I always tie mine upside down.
Yeah, apparently if you tie it upside down, it's supposed to sit better. Sometimes it likes to have a mind of its own, so that's going to be one of these bows. So I'm just going to grab a glue dot and stick a glue dot right underneath the centre of it. I want it to play nice. Once you've added your linen thread and wrapped it around, you can add this whole piece onto the layer of cinnamon cider. And then this one gets popped up on the card base with dimensionals. I think this is the only one where I actually popped up the layer onto card dimensionals. Must have been feeling stingy on dimensionals when I made these.
You would honestly not believe how much this cat ignores me in a day with the way it's carrying on right now.
Well, Loki was laying on the kitchen floor, like on a hardwood floor. He's got a bed. He never sleeps in it. I don't know why we bought a bed. And in fact, if he's going to have an accident, he will go on the bed, his bed.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I've washed it and put all kinds of stuff so there's no scent on it. But he just doesn't like his bed, he hates it. He likes to sleep on the floor. So I'm like, whatever, mate. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But Adam's off gaming, so he sits under Adam's gaming chair, playing some New World thing or something. I don't know. Whatever it is.
Oh, Mitch is about to start raiding, so I'll probably have to mute myself in a minute just so that you don't get
I'm well accustomed to that noise.
I mean, he's got his headset on, but he'll still just be like, "Rah!"
Okay, yeah, I live with two gamers, and I said to Adam the other day, I said, do you realise how loud you are? I said, you don't hear because you've got a headset on. And then he turned around to our son, and Elijah had a headset on and was playing a game with other people. And Elijah was being really loud. He goes, Elijah, quieten down. I said, now do you see what I mean?
Yes.
That's you. There's two of you. I said, and I don't do it. I said, I'm the one that puts up with it. Right, so now I've got the scrap of cinnamon cider, so that's all stuck down with Stampin' Dimensionals, and now I'm going to do, apparently I've heat embossed every single sentiment in white for these cards. So same deal, I'm just going to use Versamark and white embossing powder. I'm using a Merry Hello for this one. But it's not on black, it's on cinnamon cider, so it is different. I love cinnamon. Reminds me of gingerbread. There used to be a Stampin' Up colour called Cookie something. I forget what exactly its name is. It was Cookie something, and it was like cinnamon cider. It's so pretty. I'm going to be sad that cinnamon cider has only got. Does it retire? I don't know now. Terrible. I don't remember which colours are the next ones to retire.
Oh, yes, I think it does.
Does it?
Yeah,
Now,
cinnamon cider, Just Jade, Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight are the next ones to retire.
oh,
Unless they do a big shuffle thing.
I literally just freaked myself out when I grabbed the catalogue. It is too. And I just stocked up on cinnamon cider and Just J cardstock. Looks like I'm making a few cards. And I have a ton of Misty Moonlight cardstock. Evening Evergreen cardstock must be popular. It's like not orderable, although heaps of it is, but that was not orderable before. Yeah, no, I love cinnamon cider. I think we are just about due for a colour refresh, but I have a feeling, talking to someone about this, that I don't think they'll do it when they're supposed to because of the global shipping and everything. I reckon they'll hold off. It's just for them to change up a whole line of product at the moment. It would just seem like too risky with all of the product stuff going on.
Yeah. I hope they don't do it this year because I've only just completed my colour sets. I don't want to have to start again.
Well, I need to actually not refresh, I need to actually replace. I think I've probably shown on my team video, this is my crushed curry. I need to like fix that situation.
Ooh,
Yeah. It's nasty. Apparently they don't last forever. So I'm going to stick my sentiment up onto. Apparently it's yellows that do it to me because the yellows have gone like that. That one's just stuck up on some dimensionals. And I'm just sticking it right over the top of my bow. And then I'm going to grab the champagne rhinestones and add some to. Okay, so I like to do things at uneven numbers. So I've popped 5. It's usually 3s or 5s on my card with embellishments. So I've just popped 5 of those and I've popped them to the left and the right of my sentiment there. And then to finish the card off, I've just added some Wink Stella. I think I added a little bit to my birdie and then some, I think I added a little bit to my bow with my presents. I add a little bit to the heart. And then I'm going to spritz the whole card. That's it. It's done. So it's a whole lot of colouring, but it looks like fun. Fun to make. Another great way to bring in some designer paper. Where did I put the other ones? Is that your spritzing, Tanya?
Yeah.
Or your winter Stella? I showed someone the other day how to refill Stella, and they were like, "What? I never knew you could refill them." I was like, "Yeah, you can refill them like 3 times."
With the alcohol, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm so stingy. I'll get all that glitter out if I can. The only thing is, if you refill it with rubbing alcohol, be careful going over it on when you're coloured with blends, because the rubbing alcohol will interact with the blends.
Oh, yeah.
It must be. I'm not sure if I've got a new Winkle Stella here. I might do. Yeah, I do. I wonder if it says what's in it. Probably not. They'd be giving away their secrets. It probably is a little bit of alcohol, but it's probably not quite so strong. Because I did it the other day. I used a blend that I'd refilled with rubbing alcohol, and it affected the card. It was actually the one I showed. You can see it slightly where I've touched the Stella and it actually started to bleed.
Yeah.
I just hope no one will notice. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Oh, actually managed to get all 3 of those cards done in the end.
Good job.
Thank you for pausing for me.
No problems. I'm glad that you got them done. So I'll pop them all on screen. And hey, look, now I've got, 6 more cards to add to my 200 Christmas cards. Maybe I should just start giving them out to the neighbours.
Why not?
If you knew where I lived, it probably wouldn't be a good idea.
When you go shopping, just give them out to random.
Have
Right,
you got a oh sorry. Have you got like an aged care home or something, people that you know you could give it to them to like give everyone a card or something? I mean, they can write on them. You don't need to write on them. Yeah,
hello, come on. I'm actually I was thinking I'm going to, so I could come here. I could take some to hospital to give. I don't need a sloppy kiss, thank you. He's like, I'll slyly lick you, but then I'll chew on your finger.
Oh, Banjo! This cat that ignores me, that's been messing around all night, lying in bed the other night. Nora comes and stands on my head to look out the window. And when I sort of went, oh, and went to get her off, I moved my foot. Well, little did I know, Mr. Banjo was at the end of the bed, saw the sheet monster move, grabbed my toes and bit them.
Oh.
And I was just like, what do you think you're playing at, mate? And, you know, like, you don't want to sort of kick him, but it's like, get off. Yeah. I'm not joking. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and I am not amused.
Yeah. Luckily, we've just gone to sleeping through the night with Loki. So it's like a baby. Like we've just got past the night feed. So.
Well, I have kittens who sleep all day and then go, excellent. It's playtime.
So Loki just likes to get up and, you know, go to the toilet a million times, don't you? Okie dokie. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you had fun colouring and playing with this fun stamp set. I'd love to see what else you make with it. Hint, hint. Mm-hmm. I hear you've both still got lots of Christmas cards to make, so
yes.
Keep them simple, I say. Maybe not. Not used to be covered in slobber. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I'm going to make an album. I will forget, so I'll go do it now. I'll make an album in the group so people can share what they've made and pop it up in the group as well, because I think everyone would love to see.
Do you mind these ones being shared in the group though, seeing as they were
to be honest, they're actually in the promotional picture anyway. So
okay.
I don't mind.
No.
That's fine. Awesome. So I will see you all tomorrow. You've got bingo at 11.
Okay.
And it's not a stamp set. No, they're all different. So I'll hope to see you all there. And oh, yuck. I think I'm going to go check this dog outside. Awesome. So thanks so much, guys, and I will catch you all tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.